At 12 weeks, I went to my local hospital for a scan to be told that I was only measuring 8 weeks. From that point on, I knew something wasn't right, but unfortunately it was Christmas and I needed to wait until January for a second scan. We waited and went in January and to be told the dreaded news that something was wrong, and unfortunately my local hospital couldn't help me at that stage. They needed to send me to the Rotunda. Luckily I only waited a few days and the staff up there were very nice. They saw to us straight away. I'll never forget lying on the table, them doing the scan, taking their time, calling the doctor in. The doctor came in and he spoke a few words. I don't really remember too much of the medical jargon, but what I do remember was hearing the words, "not compatible with life." I was holding my partner's hand, not really taking anything else in, sort of delighted that he was there to listen. The doctor didn't really say I'm sorry or anything like that. He left, and I understand they're dealing with these cases every day. I didn't blame him for that. He told us to wait in the next room if we wouldn't mind, and the nurse would come in and explain our options. And so we went in, and she had said what our options were, and the first was to carry to term, carry the pregnancy for another 6 months, knowing that the lungs weren't developing, the kidneys weren't developing, there was a large mass on the brain and many disformations and on the baby's body. The baby would not take a first breath, and so would I carry on for another 6 months, knowing that my baby wouldn't survive, knowing that I was pregnant, my daughter knowing I was pregnant, wondering where her sister or brother might be. Could I do that for another 6 months? I didn't think I could. We knew we couldn't. It wouldn't be fair, wouldn't be right. What was our second option then? And it was to go to Liverpool. And I remember thinking, the shame, the judgment. But the nurse said lots of women are in the same situation as I am every week. They travel every week. And for us to go home and have a think about it. She explained that there'd be a cost involved. But she would give me all the details of the hospital and we'd need to organise the flight. We thought about it for a few days. I had lots of loving support from my family. And thankfully we could get the money together. So after a few days we booked the flight, and my parents took my daughter, minded her, and we set off. I remember thinking on the plane, God, do people know why I'm travelling on this flight? Do the air hostesses know? Do they see girls like me all the time? Obviously my head spinning. Would there be pickets outside the hospital when I got there? Like, my head was racing. I was not in a good place. But we got there and we got to the hospital, and the nurses were fantastic. They're obviously so used to seeing people in our situation all the time. She discussed what would happen. We'd need to have a check for another heartbeat, obviously, to make sure that I needed the procedure that I was going for. She also, unfortunately, wanted to talk about money, which I understand. She felt very bad about it. She was almost embarrassed taking the money off. But in my mind, I was thinking, thanks be to God, I have the money. Thanks be to God, I have the support. What about all the young women and children out there who don't have that support, who don't have family, who don't have somebody to mind their kids or take time off work and travel and need to do what's best for them, what's right for them? So although I was going through a harrowing time, I felt very lucky that I had the support and the help that I had during that time. The procedure was quick enough, I suppose, a few days, but it was afterwards, it was leaving, asking whether we'd like our baby cremated, and you know, just discussing that, just not a nice thing for any mother to do, any person to have to do, even my partner. So we left and came home. I couldn't wait to get home to my daughter, but we had to sit there and wait for 6 weeks for our baby to come home in the post. A very emotional time, and also very detached that our baby was being sent home in the post. So this is why I am voting yes. Not for me, I hope this would never happen to me again, but it's not for me, it's for my daughter, for my sisters, my brothers, husbands, wives, people all over the country, that they can access the help that they need and not have to travel and not be exiled out of their country to get the help that they need. So I'm voting yes, but not for me, for everybody else. And I hope people make the right decision and vote yes to trust women, trust that they know what they're doing with their bodies.